what's about to happen because it's so hard to find a franchise
And
quarterback in
yeah,
today.
I was just about to say that. I feel like the reason they're paying them all of this money and shit like that is because I feel like they're scared that they will never find a franchise quarterback long term and shit like that. So
Today's
he's right.
NFL,
He's right on
it
point
gives
with
you a
that one.
chance to win a
Yo, what's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another reaction video. We got Trevor Lawrence just created a nightmare. Let's check this out.
Deal for the Jacksonville Jaguars and
Yeah,
Trevor
5 year,
Lawrence, the new
275 million.
Heisman quarterback
In my
NFL.
opinion, bro, I don't agree with them paying him that much money, bro. He's only had one solid season, and that was a couple seasons ago when they made it to the divisional round against the Chiefs. Other than that, bro, he has not really looked like that can't miss prospect that we saw coming out of college and shit like that. But if he does break out this year, then hey, that's a great contract. But as of right now, I feel like that's just way too much money to pay to a guy that hasn't really proven himself to be a top 5 quarterback in the league.
Alongside
Just
Joe
don't
Burrow,
agree with that. Now he's
5
tied with
years,
Joe Burrow as the highest paid quarterback in the
$275
league.
million.
When you haven't won a Super Bowl, or been to a Super Bowl, or lived up to the expectations that have been put forth to you. Not saying that Trevor Lawrence is not a great quarterback, and not saying that there's not a lot of promise still left in his career, but to get paid like this without having reached those expectations, it is a good job if you could get it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, one of the most confusing
give his agent niece a
quarterback
raise,
prospects
bro.
in the past 10 years just
For
signed
real.
a historical NFL contract. And I mean, the repercussions of this contract are going to affect many teams that have upcoming expiring quarterback contracts, including a couple of pretty mid quarterbacks that are going to receive huge paydays for
That's
being
crazy.
absolutely mediocre.
Yeah,
One
Tua,
quarterback that may
Dak,
even break
and
the
Jordan
quarterback
Love.
market. Now, Trevor Lawrence, since declaring for the draft, has been looked on as one of the best quarterbacks, or at least generational talented quarterbacks, since Andrew Luck. And even some people think to this day that he has been more generational than Caleb Williams is coming out of college this year. And I mean, in order to get Lawrence in the first place, the Jags basically had to lose every game in 2020, going 1-15. And by doing this, the Jags were basically putting all of their marbles into this basket and hoping he would live up to that height and turn around this franchise. And I mean, has he really been able to do that?
Oh,
I
bro
don't
ain't
even
bro
know.
ain't
He
rocking the
did have
cap in
the
this
insane
vid.
come from behind playoff win against the Chargers in 2022. But besides that, Lawrence's career has been somewhat of a roller coaster ride. In 2021, he led the league with 17 interceptions while only throwing for 12 touchdowns. And yes, you probably could contribute that mostly
To Urban Meyer.
led by a fake coach in Urban Meyer, but that doesn't completely
I gave him a break with that, bro, but you know what I'm saying, these last couple of seasons still hasn't been the best from him.
How bad he looked his rookie
Even though he
season.
did
In
take them to the
2022,
playoffs
with now
a couple
head coach
seasons
in
ago.
charge, Doug Peterson, he started to show glimmers of that generational talent, but it didn't come without some major bumps in the road. Like, I mean, before that insane come from behind win against the Chargers, T-Law was fighting off the bust label as the team coming into week 9 was just 2-6. The team then won 7 of their last 9 games to squeeze into the playoffs. Lawrence finished the season with over 4,000 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions, also coming in 7th in MVP voting in just his second year. And I mean, hell, in that following week in the divisional round of the playoffs against the Chiefs, he didn't look half bad and honestly kept them in that game for most of it. But then we have this most recent season with the 2023 season bringing us back to just that
The fact that they were 8-3 at one point and still didn't make the playoffs is beyond me, bro.
Get week in and week out. I mean, at points in this season, he was considered an MVP frontrunner. He even had led the Jags to a 6-2
He
record,
was?
passing for an average of 200.
I didn't even hear about him being an MVP frontrunner.
And 3 interceptions before their bye week. Before then, just completely falling apart and completing one of the biggest collapses, going on to lose 6 of their last 9 games and miss the playoffs. During that stretch, he passed for an average of 231 yards per game, 12 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, proving just how inconsistent Trevor Lawrence has been. Through his first 3 seasons, he has 60 turnovers, which includes an NFL
60?
21 in 20.
Oh my
of
gosh.
15 of those were interceptions and 7 of them were lost fumbles. And now, according to the Elias Sports Bureau, there are only 11 quarterbacks who have made their debuts since 1978 that have turned the ball over more in their first 3 seasons. That list includes 3 Hall of Famers. Warren Moon with 73, Peyton Manning with 64, and John Elway with 61.
That's good
And
company to
despite
be,
the ups and downs in
I'm
his
saying, a
first
part
3
of.
seasons, Lawrence has led the Jaguars to 20 victories, 17 of those which have come in the past 2 seasons. And look, I know that doesn't sound too impressive, but prior to his arrival, they had won just 12 games in 3 seasons. And of
Holy
those 48
shit.
games that were played, 6 different quarterbacks started. Blake
Gardner
Bortles had a
Minshew,
record
I know.
3-9, Cody
Blake
Kessler was
Bortles.
2-2, Nick Foles went 0-4, Gardner Minshew
Nick
was the one that had
Foles?
the longest tenure going.
Bro, I
7-15.
forgot Nick Foles played
Mike
for the
Glennon went
Jags.
0-5, and Jake Luton, who I don't
Jake
remember
Luton, I
him
remember.
playing, went 0-3. And I mean,
I
even
remember
coming
him.
into this year, many people were asking the question, how much is Trevor Lawrence going to get paid if he does? Because of how high the quarterback market is right now. And I mean, the situation was so complex that the Jaguars had to completely alter the way that this roster was built in order to pay Trevor Lawrence. And of course, it just wasn't all on him, I guess I should say, but when you have to pay the guy who you think is your franchise quarterback $50 million a year, you're going to lose out on some guys in free agency. And one of the players that they did
$50
see
million
fall was
a
Calvin Ridley to
year.
the Titans, but they were able to replace him hopefully with Gabe Davis. And I mean, coming into this offseason and even heading into this regular season now, the Jaguars had 2 paths that they could go in. The first being that they sit around and don't sign him to a new deal and he goes on to have a huge breakout year. And then Tua, Jordan Love, and Dak all get paid and you have to match their contracts.
Dak's not getting
and pay
paid, bro.
Trevor Lawrence
I
even
really
more
don't.
money.
I
But
really
that
don't see
just
that
wouldn't
happening
be
at
feasible,
all.
and then
I
they would
don't.
have even more money than they want tied up in a quarterback, allowing for less money to re-sign upcoming expiring contracts in skill positions such as Travis Etienne, Evan Ingram, or Christian Kirk, whose contracts all expire in 2025. And as mentioned before, they
Holy.
did bring in Gabe Davis through 2026,
And Brian
are
Thomas
hoping that rookie
Jr.
Brian Thomas Jr. can keep this offense elite over the next few years. And I mean, the
BTJ.
other much smarter option that the Jaguars ended up doing is what the Eagles did similarly with AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, along with some other teams in the wide receiver market too. They went on to pay those guys before the Justin Jefferson contract because at that point in time, that was going to be the highest paid contract and what most receivers would negotiate off of. So if we look at it in similar fashion to the Trevor Lawrence project that we have going on here, it quote unquote will be the cheapest Trevor Lawrence will ever be.
The sooner you get these done, the better it is for the team because the price is only going to go up. And I know we're going to talk about other quarterbacks a little bit later in this, but this is going to end up being, if Trevor Lawrence is who they think he is, and they drafted him #1 overall, and they've obviously seen enough to think that he's that guy. Otherwise, there was no reason to sign him to this contract. So they think he's the guy. If he is, this is going to end up being a good deal because they got it done before Tua, before Dak, before every other quarterback who's up for a contract extension at this point. So good for them, good for Trevor Lawrence. That
This
he
nigga
now
like he
gets
falling
his
asleep
money,
over here.
And now he can go prove that he's the guy that they drafted #1 overall and that was supposed to be this
Bro ain't even really
generational
paying
talent.
attention
And
to
look at what
her.
it means to just be above average at the quarterback position means that you are going to get a hefty payday in some sort of fashion once you do get your second contract. And I mean, looking around the NFL, there are some quarterbacks that have expiring contracts that are absolutely mid, but are about to cash in on this payday that they're about to get. And so far, the Detroit Lions are the only ones to seemingly realize this, signing Jared Goff in mid-May.
Yeah,
to
I
a
feel like
record-breaking
that
4-year,
was like,
$212
now that I'm like thinking about it, bro, maybe this was smart, but then again, I just don't think it was worth giving him a lot of that money, bro, especially, you know what I'm saying, $170 million guaranteed.
Contract, of which $170 million was guaranteed. We currently know that Tua isn't holding out, but he is looking around wondering when he will receive his second contract, especially after having his career completely saved by Mike McDaniel and Tyreek Hill, with reports saying they should reach a deal later this summer. Then you have Dak Prescott, who we all know how Jerry Jones loves to wait until the last minute to sign his stars, even though they could just pay this
for no
mid-quarterback
reason, bro.
a much cheaper deal. And then my personal favorite of the lot, and I think the best one that is going to get a fat payday, is Jordan Love, who I just put a video out on this week. So I mean,
make sure y'all go
the
check that
equation
out.
Here is that you find your franchise quarterback, or at least the guy that has the potential to do that for you, and then you just pay them as soon as possible before this market just keeps going up and up, because at this rate, it just isn't going to stop going up. So now the Chiefs, Bengals, and Eagles all look like geniuses right now because they found their franchise quarterback, signed them early before this giant explosion in the quarterback market, and then on top of that, they pretty much backloaded all of those contracts too. And like, I mean, this is the market for mid quarterbacks. I mean, besides Love, but for mid quarterbacks that are all going to get paid for just having decent seasons, that's what's about to happen because it's so hard to find a franchise quarterback in today.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I feel like the reason they're paying them all of this money and shit like that is because I feel like they're scared that they will never find a franchise quarterback long term and shit like that. So he's right on point with that one.
To win a Super Bowl.
Because I was in the same mindset.
I mean, many people are already praising the Jaguars for getting this deal done so early and so quickly before the season. Looking at this contract right now, to get it done now and before it could get any higher is probably a good idea too, because now Lawrence is tied with Joe Burrow as being the highest paid quarterback annually. And I don't know about
the fact that Mahomes is not even in the top 5 anymore is crazy.
He's
He's at number 10 now, I believe.
Lawrence seems to be that clown in the meme with the soldiers. You know which one I'm talking about. Like, according to Ian Rappaport, the Jaguars reached a deal with their star quarterback Trevor Lawrence, saying that they gave the former #1 pick a 5-year extension worth $275 million, $55 million a year, with $200 million guaranteed and $142 million fully guaranteed. Also, with that much guaranteed money, makes him the 9th quarterback with $100 million or more fully guaranteed, joining the Cleveland Browns' Deshaun Watson, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Jared Goff, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, and Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen. And look, if the kid can play as good as he did at the beginning of last season and really live up to the hype, then this will be a huge deal to get it done before that. And then the Jaguars will look like geniuses. But now, the scariest part of this new contract that Lawrence just signed is all the contracts that are going to come after his. Like, not only will they be larger, but there have
Bro, I am so scared for the NFL of like where these contracts are really heading to, bro. Because by the time next year, bro, I would not be surprised if we see somebody get a $300 million contract. I will not be surprised, because a lot of these contracts are really getting so close to that, bro. With Trevor Lawrence now getting paid $275 million. And like, this shit is getting scarier.
Scott may get paid $60 million a year.
Market is showing
like,
what
this
it
is
just... mention it. Is it possible Dak Prescott,
if they do pay Dak, bro, that'll be the dumbest shit they've ever done. Really, because they're prioritizing a QB who can't really win in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? He has never made it to a championship game, over the guys that can really help you win, like CeeDee Lamb, like your franchise guys like CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons. Those two should be your #1 priorities right now, bro. Especially CeeDee Lamb. Like, he's pretty much your only good skill player on offense, bro. Like, y'all don't have anybody else other than Brandon Cooks is solid, you know what I'm saying? And like, other than like a couple pieces on the offensive line, that's pretty much it, bro. Like, there's nobody else who really, you know what I'm saying, scares defenses that's on their offense.
A huge number next year if they franchise in which they can't. $60 million now becomes legitimately possible, whether the Cowboys end up trying somehow, some way to do something for Dak, or whether he just simply plays it out, crushes it, goes to the free agent market. The number 60, as in 60 million, is no longer crazy. It's now pretty real.
And I mean, truthfully, I just don't see that happening. Like, not only does Dak need to get paid, but so does Tua and Jordan Love. And just looking at those names, the only one on that list that has even played remotely like a franchise quarterback is Jordan Love. And yes, you could argue Tua, but with Tua, some NFL executives have expressed concerns about his durability, injury history, just including all those concussions, and his reliance on
having 3 concussions in one season is just crazy.
That they pay him in the range of 5th to 10th highest paid quarterback, around
That's very dangerous,
to
bro.
$248 million total. And there have even been reports of the Dolphins franchise tagging him to buy more time to evaluate and see if he's even worth the investment and can stay healthy. And I mean, speaking of investments, and I think,
and then Tyreek Hill wants another contract too.
Right now is the Green Bay Packers and what they did with Jordan Love last season. Because last year they could have signed him before the season started for a much smaller quarterback extension along the lines of like
what's scary about Green Bay is they have the youngest roster in the NFL, bro. So getting him paid long term is gonna be crazy because of all the young guys that they already have that they don't have to pay just yet, like the first and second year guys, bro. They like the Packers. This might be the Packers team, like led by Jordan Love. This might be the Packers team that gets past the NFC Championship game.
It's like
I really do think so.
But instead, they opted for a unique 1-year contract to evaluate him this past season. And well, now they're going to have to pay him a ridiculous amount, with predictions suggesting Love's extension could be in the range of 4 to 6 years at around $55 to $57 million a year. And with those numbers, if he does get paid that, he's most likely going to be one of the highest paid quarterbacks, if not the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And I mean, if that happens, that's even scarier for the Packers, because if they end up paying him a ridiculous amount like that, then I don't know how the Packers are going to be able to get him an elite #1 wideout. It may put him in a situation similar to A-Rod's a few years back, where they had nothing and were just completely reliant on Rodgers' talent. And I mean, for me personally, I think Love is the best of the lot, as I've expressed in this video and the one that I just posted a couple days ago. And I do think that he is the most worthy of getting that annual salary of passing a quarterback like Burrow and Lawrence, just based off of what he has shown us with no other talent around him right now on that roster. Dak will most likely get paid at the last minute, just like Jerry Jones always does with his star players, and then have no way to pay Micah Parsons or even CeeDee Lamb the numbers that they do want. And as I stated before, with Tua, to me, as crazy as it sounds, without Tyreek Hill or Mike McDaniel, that dude would be out of the league, but here we are with him about to get paid a bag for being so mid. But I want to know what you guys think. Was Trevor Lawrence paid the proper amount, or did they overpay
Hell no.
him? Let me know.
They overpay like hell, bro.
This whole contract ordeal. Honestly, for me, I think that they overpaid on just such an inconsistent quarterback that they really don't know what's going to happen with him in the next couple of years. And not only that, but it's now forced these other teams to kind of have to pay these mid quarterbacks very outrageous numbers on these contracts. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's so hard in the NFL to find a competent quarterback that can win you 8+ games in the NFL and even give you a shot at the playoffs or even the Super Bowl, which all of these guys, you could say that they do give their teams that shot, so that's why they're going to get paid these types of numbers. But let me know in the comment section what you guys think about this whole situation and what's going to happen with all these other quarterbacks. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next one.
Hey man, what do you guys think? I want to know what you guys think about this whole Trevor Lawrence contract situation. Do y'all think he deserved it, or do you think they overpaid? In my opinion, y'all already know what I think. They overpaid like crazy. But y'all let me know down in the comments below what you guys think. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Turn on post notification, notify whenever I drop another banger video. On the road to 300 subs. I'm so used to saying 200 subs, bro. We are on the road to 300 subs. Help me get that for more banger NFL content like this. And without further ado, I'm out. Gang.